Hey, welcome into the Big Ten Huddle. I assume Ohio State fans coming off of the huge win over Michigan. Great news for Ohio State getting this win that was much needed at this point, and not a whole lot of extracurricular activities after the game in this one. Ryan Day said they wanted to win with humility, but I did have to put this picture up here, Zach. Brutus did not win with humility as he put the X through the M and wrote Ohio, script Ohio there. Did you see the Michigan staffer on the TV come in and like dive on?
I thought if anything kind of epitomizes that this rivalry, it's that.
Yep.
It's like we got to get that off. This can't
Get
be
that.
here. It's like it's and people will like mock it, but it's awesome. Like
Yeah.
both Brutus and the staffer, it was great. Um,
I
yeah,
I don't see how you can watch a game like this. Even a blowout, 27-9, Ohio State over Michigan, even a blowout, the amount of vitriol and, anger and everything else and everything that went into this game, like I don't know how you can watch this and not say this is the best rivalry in sport.
hmm
Um, this was an outstanding game for Ohio State, obviously for Michigan walking away from this very sad. I probably won't see very many Michigan fans on Twitter after this one, but and I don't blame them.
hmm
When it happens to Ohio State, I kind of get the same way. But just a
Yep.
great win for Ohio State. We'll get into what happened in the game, but what's your first reaction to the win, Zach?
Um, I'm I'm so happy for Ryan Day and the players because I think Ryan Day, and I mean we said it last year. Like, how do you come back from a fourth straight loss? And I remember going on the Out of the Blue podcast. Maze and Brew, those guys, they're asking about the rivalry and the stakes, and I said, as much as the playoff, it feels like it's removed significance to the rivalry. I would argue that it actually enhanced it because Ryan Day won a national championship, and the word on the street for him was he still can't beat Michigan, and like that was holding him back.
And you heard
And
that about Ryan Day in Ohio State, but you never heard that about Kirby Smart in Alabama, right?
right, yeah. And so for Ryan Day and for these seniors, and Julian Sayin, man, I mean, for him, you want to talk about adversity, self-made adversity. First two passes, first one was probably should have been caught. Second one was a terrible decision, and he owned it post game. But for Julian to come back, I think he was 19 to 25 total, three touchdowns, 233 yards. I mean, he was phenomenal in this game, and he deserves all the Heisman consideration. Now he's got to win next week if he wants to win the award. But to all the people that were saying that Julian should not be in the Heisman conversation, shut your mouths. He's in it. He's certainly more in it than Marcel Reed. So he played. I felt great for Ryan Day. Felt great for Julian Sayin. And how about that offensive line? Woo!
Offensive line for Ohio State dominated the Michigan defensive line. I saw some people saying during that goal line stand that Michigan is bullying Ohio State up front, and those tweets were quickly ratioed as the game went on. And I saw somebody even continue to argue it later on in the game, and I was like, you literally do not understand football if you're watching this game. After that, obviously, Michigan had a very good stand there on the goal line that held Ohio State, and the false start by the tight end, Bennett Christian, I think it was obviously made that very difficult for Ohio State. They get the field goal, but from there on out, Ohio State imposed their will in this game. 47 rushing attempts, 186 yards on the ground to Michigan's 100 yards. Julian Sayin was 19 of 26. After those first two incompletions, he came back and was 19 of 24, 233 yards, three touchdowns, one interception. I mean, this is the type of adversity that we get talked about for Marcel Reed and some other guys that Julian Sayin went through. It just so happens that Julian Sayin, didn't have it close at the end of the game, but he did go through some adversity. Michigan runs down the field, scores a field goal based off one big run and a small catch there by Jordan Marshall, and Julian Sayin throws the interception. Michigan gets a short field, hits another field goal. How does Ohio State respond? They go right down the field, they get a field goal, defensive stop, and then huge play by Jeremiah Smith there for the 35-yard touchdown, which, by the way, if you are somebody that looks at that and says it's not a touchdown, you don't understand football, loss of possession, anything. Like, there are far too many people that are on Twitter that are out there that are saying, "Oh, that definitely wasn't a touchdown." Zach, what was your take on it?
When I watched it, and part of it is I didn't understand the rule, and clearly nobody understands the rule.
You have to understand the rule. Go ahead.
But when I saw it, and this is as a fan, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a touchback. I went to AI, which we know AI is not the most reliable.
It's the
but
NLBO.
Yes. Stop that. And a slight bobble does not indicate loss of possession. And that is the key.
He don't have to have a foot down to regain possession.
Right, because he never actually lost the ball. And so and Terry McAuley actually twice in this game kind of was like the Barham headbutt. It's like, how do you not eject him? And then with the Jeremiah Smith, he said, okay, the way the rule's written, I can understand why people would think it could be this, but actually the way it's interpreted should be this. And he was saying it's a touchdown. So I can understand why there's confusion, because it is a confusing rule the way it's written. But I think what's sad is that far too many people jumped to a conclusion based on a misunderstanding of the rule, including officials, including the color analyst, Joel Klatt and Gus, who I think do a great job. Like, I think they do a great job. But like this, it's one of those rules that's poorly written, that's hard to interpret, kind of like targeting, quite honestly. Except this one's even more murky. So I thought it was a good, like, it was called a touchdown on the field. I think you can make an argument based on how the rule is written, but I don't think it's clear cut. And if it's not clear cut, the rules of replay would say you don't overturn something like that.
Yeah, the referees got it exactly right in that moment, and I'm sure that'll be something that is, contested years to come, as every single Ohio State Michigan game seems to have a moment that is hotly contested.
Yeah.
What was it? 2023 was the catch in the end zone there. The hit on Will Howard was kind of debated there for Ohio State Michigan last year, and then the holding there as well. But overall, I mean, once that happened, Michigan went down and got a field goal after that, but Michigan's offense was just completely obliterated after that one. I don't even think it was the fact that Jordan Marshall wasn't in the game. Jordan Marshall had some nice runs, but even when he came back in the game, you could argue, maybe he was injured a little bit there, but Michigan's offensive line was not winning up front after that. Caden McDonald was absolutely wrecking the center, I think Crippen there for Michigan, and he was just in the backfield every single time. Caden Curry was making one-arm tackles on Cusdahl and Marshall. I think he had one-handed tackle on him as well. It was clear that the Ohio State offensive line, defensive line, both came to play in this one, and Michigan was not strong enough to go against either of them, and that really, at the end of the day, Julian Sayin, Carnell Tate were huge, but it was Ohio State absolutely dominating up front and being more aggressive in this game, going forward on fourth down, taking chances, rather than Michigan, who played conservative and quite honestly just played scared.
Yeah, well, and I think if I can speak to this a little bit, like with the running game, I think very much in the first quarter, Michigan schemed some things up to spring big runs. Jordan Marshall had a 36-yarder. Cudzel had a 22-yarder. I think Marshall had another 10-yard gain. So those three runs, 36, 22, and 10, let me do quick math. That's 68 yards. The
also
rest
had a 21-yard run by Marshall as well.
A 21. So okay, four runs.
That was in the first quarter. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm trying to do math here. But like, I think close to 90 yards on 4 carries. The rest of the game was like 20 carries, 10 yards, which is just, I think that's kind of been the MO with this defense, is if you want to get anything on the ground, you better do it early, because they shut it down. We saw it against Penn State. against Penn State, Katron Allen had a really nice first half. Singleton had a good first half. And then Patricia makes adjustments, and it just kills you. The one thing I will say, and this is my concern, I know we'll talk Big Ten championship game in another video. My one concern, and they talked about it on the broadcast, Underwood missed some things where if he sees open receivers, this is probably a different game. And I'm not saying Michigan would have won. I'm not even saying they would have scored touchdowns. But if you're Indiana, or if you're seeing Ohio State in the playoff, and you're like, how do you attack this defense? I do wonder if maybe this defense can get got by veteran quarterbacks with good receivers. And that's something we'll have to see. But I think next week will be an interesting test for this defense going forward.
Well, and I think that goes, excuse me, a little bit to what I said about playing scared, right? Is it wasn't just Sharon Moore with some of the decisions he made on 3rd and 4th down, but it was also Bryce Underwood not taking chances over the middle where, yeah, there were some windows, but let's also be honest, like some of those windows that Joel Klatt was showing on camera, those were very high level anticipation type of throws, and it's really easy to see that on film after the fact. So yes, I totally agree with you. They're there, but when you have the defensive line coming in, pressure on you the entire time, you don't know what you're going to see pre-snap. Like you think you're going to see something and come in see something different the next time. I totally agree. There were opportunities for Bryce Underwood to, make a throw here and there, but I think it adds to what Ohio State was doing all game and what they were trying to do to be able to confuse pre-snap. Now, like you said, we'll talk Indiana, Ohio State, Big Ten championship game here in a minute, but that's where that is where Fernando Mendoza is going to have to be his absolute best going up against this Ohio State defense, because he is so intelligent. He is somebody that is able to, obviously study, get to know the other team's defense, and that's going to be another part of Matt Patricia coming in and trying to confuse a much more veteran Fernando Mendoza rather than the true freshman and Bryce Underwood. Bryce Underwood in this game, 8 of 18, 63 yards overall. Jordan Marshall had 7 carries for 61 yards. But like we said, 2 of those were off a 38-yard run and a 21-yard run. So his 5 carries outside of that really was, what's that? 2 yards.
I think it was a 36 and a 22. So he had 3. He had 22. Okay. So he had 3 yards after that.
Okay. So yeah, not a whole lot. Bryson
Kezdal. He did re-aggravate that shoulder injury. So I think that does. We do want to give him his flowers. He was very good in the first quarter.
Correct. Donovan McCauley was the leading catcher from Michigan, and I don't think I listed the wide receivers for Ohio State. Carnell Tate, 5 receptions, 82 yards, 1 touchdown catch. Jeremiah Smith, 3 receptions, 40 yards, 1 touchdown catch, and then Bo Jackson had 4 catches for 49 yards as well. My biggest takeaway from this game, Zach, is, and Joel Klatt was alluding to it a little bit there at the end, as much as he, did kind of sound like a Michigan homer there for a little bit at the beginning of the game. He was giving Ohio State their flowers at the end. He said it. This is the most complete team in the country, and Ohio State looks like it. And at this point, Ohio State is either winning the national championship, or the team that beats Ohio State in the playoffs is going to win the national championship. I don't think if Indiana beats Ohio State in the Big Ten championship, that's a given that Indiana's going to win it. But I do think whatever team shows they can beat Ohio State in the playoffs will win it all. But if nobody can, obviously it'll be Ohio State that wins it all.
Yeah, I agree. I think what's interesting, so I was just looking at Michigan's other 2 losses. They kept Michigan to almost half of their lowest yardage output the rest of the season against Oklahoma, at Oklahoma.
Like total yards on offense?
Total yards.
Yeah, okay.
Which I know that, again, they had Justice Haynes at Oklahoma, but I mean, what they did today defensively was a clinic. And again, they got up 2 scores, and they went on this is probably the biggest takeaway for me, is if they get up 2 scores on you, they will go on a march, and they do not care. They went on a 12-minute, 20-play drive. I don't know if they passed the ball more than once on that drive. No, they did one incompletion, a 9-yard pass, and that's it. So
Yeah.
three passes in a 20-play drive to essentially ice the game. It took them from the middle of the third quarter to 8 minutes left in the fourth.
Yeah, to start the half there, Ohio State went on an 8-yard 34 or 8-play 34-yard drive. They punted, and then after that it was a 2-play 57-yard drive for the touchdown. That only lasted 45 seconds. They came back from that, had a 20-play 81-yard drive that was for 12 minutes and kicked the field goal to win the game, or not to win the game, but
To
to
ice
seal
it.
the game there at the end. This if you're gonna let this Ohio State team do that, a team that everybody has said their biggest weakness is their rushing game and everything else, like I don't think anybody has a chance because this is a Michigan team that has prided themselves on stopping Ohio State's run game and being able to run on Ohio State. Neither of those two things happen. I'm not saying Michigan is, Georgia at the stopping the run or anything like that, but I don't think you can walk away from this game and say, yeah, Ohio State still can't run the ball. Ohio State can run the ball. They will run the ball, and if you don't stop them, they will run it down your throat, and you will lose the game.
Yep.
So, all right. Is there anything else you want to get to before we end this video?
The only other thing I'll say is the emergence of Bo Jackson. I think this is to your point, but Bo Jackson, he has been low key one of the best running backs in the Big Ten, and he is just getting better. I mean, he was making guys miss today. I just thought he flashed his speed, his quickness, and first Ohio State player to go over 100 rushing yards since 2019. And you could make an argument. I think a very sizable argument that Bo Jackson is the reason why Ohio State won this game.
Yeah. I mean, Ohio State probably has a lot of reasons why they won the game, but he is one of
Right.
the biggest ones. Yeah,
Yep.
I would agree with that. So, all right, Ohio State fans, let us know what you're thinking here in the comments. Like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. We appreciate it. Huge win for Ohio State. This is needed. Great Ohio State football news for them going into the Big Ten Championship. If you want to check out more of our content, you can go on over. I'll put the video right here below. You can go check out our video of the Big Ten Championship game, previewing that a little bit, just initial thoughts, and then obviously we'll preview it on later on the week as well. So thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good one.